Welcome in UFC Vegas 103. I think we're at right now. After we eclipsed Vegas 100, I didn't know how far we're going to go in these Apex counts, or I guess it probably didn't start in the Apex. But at some point, they can't just keep going. Are we just going to go indefinitely to 300, 400, 500? I don't know what Dana wants to do, but the Apex itself, I'm one of the huge minorities, not huge weight-wise, although that's also accurate. My goodness, I can't drop a pound if my life depended on it. I'm one of the huge minorities. I still like the Apex. I still, it's not my favorite, but I still do see value and entertainment in it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like hearing the coaches. I like the smaller octagon. I'm a fan of it. I mean, there's a lot to be said. Huge minorities losing weight. There's a lot of insults that can be thrown your way. All I got to say is you do look heavy through the camera, and so do I. So maybe it's the camera.
And maybe it's the camera. These Mac cameras are known to add 15, 20, 30, 100 pounds. Our first fight of the night, you were worried about your hair pre-video. Well, I'll tell you somebody who does not worry about his hair, but who ought to worry about his hair. We got Charles the Brillo Pad Johnson kicking off the fight. I don't know if he has a contract where he has to fight on the prelims, but I swear he opens up more cards than fighters of his caliber than I can think of. He's a plus 115 underdog yet again, coming in at plus money against Ramazanbek Temierov at a minus 135.
Temierov, he's very entertaining fighter for flyweight division. He's a short, bricked up, just beast. I mean, he's a brick shit house. He also is like Taco Bell. He's extremely explosive, karate style movement, extremely explosive. But even though he has immense power and the dude's legit. I mean, there's a reason why you're picking favorite or more of a favorite than an underdog against Charles Johnson, because he's very talented. I mean, this line doesn't feel too off because Tamirov is so talented, but he has a tendency that I saw to get off balance when he's exploding. I mean, it's the Dumb and Dumber toilet scene. The feet come up off the ground when you have explosive diarrhea. It's the same type of thing. He gets off balance, and Charles Johnson is the guy in the flyweight division to, one, fight elite fighters and prospects, and two, knows how to win. And he's extremely durable, extremely strong, extremely big. He has a very good style to combat Tamirov, notably with the power. Because Charles Johnson can take a punch. He's extremely long and he's very durable. So at the very surface level, I'm leaning Johnson, but I do think the odds are relatively accurate.
Oh, see, I disagree. I think the odds are off. I had Johnson at a 150 to 160 favorite here. Not significantly different, but that's 70 cents on the dollar. That's a big deal, and I'm going through zero. Don't tease through zero, kids. That's a whole NFL joke. We'll break that down one of these days. I think Johnson, at this point in his career, my last note, I wrote it 3 times in my spreadsheet here. He will not lose a striking battle. Stop betting against him in a striking battle. Seriously, he might be the best striker in the flyweight division. Now, there's a bit of hyperbole there because he hasn't fought people in the top 5. Manel Kape's got something to say about best striker in the flyweight division. But the truth is, you beat Charles Johnson by chain wrestling. We have not seen Charles Johnson lose in recent memory outside of a chain wrestler. You don't outstrike him, and you don't get him down on your first shot. Temierov, karate style, explosive, the way that you talked about. And Charles Johnson, much like Bobby Green, is fast and slick with his counters. I think Temierov is going to be jumping into his combinations. Johnson is going to do a simple exit and 1-2 tag him with combinations all night. Despite it being flyweight, I wouldn't be surprised if Charles Johnson gets a counter knockout here. Probably late in round 3. Charles Johnson's best round is round 3 more often than not, because his cardio is insane. So if the finish comes, I'd expect it to come late. I'm not going to try to pick round and method. I love Charles Johnson here. But to be fair, there's like 5 or 6 bets I love on this card. I'm very confident going into this week. Charles Johnson is making my slip. If you want to take a big shot, him by KO for a quarter unit wouldn't upset me, but I'm just going to take him personally 1.5 units on the money line. I like him a lot here.
Yeah, and I agree. I like him 1.5 units on the money line. I disagree with the inside distance. I don't dislike him plus 175 by decision. He's a decision fighter. I think he could lean on his wrestling in this fight. If he has success early, which he traditionally does not, I think it's going to be through wrestling, and then he'll probably just rinse and repeat that if it's successful, which it should be if he elects to go that route, which he often does not. He's a defensive wrestler more than offensive. But all in all, I do like Charles Johnson. I like the 1.5 risk on him, and I'm contemplating by decision at plus 180 or 175 just because that's significant value. I mean, that's a 40-50 cent difference on the price. So I think that's something to consider.
That's fair. Temyarov, just to echo one more thing for you, he is very good. He is someone that I would not be surprised to get a number next to his name at some point in this division. I just think that his particular style of blitz and attack is a bad style to fight Charles Johnson, who is so long, who is so slick, and who is so experienced striking on the feet. I don't want Temyarov to come out of this as a bad fighter. He's a very good fighter. All right, next fight. Two fighters who might not be qualified to say they are very good, but they're not bad. Luana Carolina, minus 130. Big Montana De La Rosa coming in at a plus 110. One of your OG women to watch in the flyweight division here. What do you like?
I love Montana De La Rosa by decision. I mean, let's just she's more experienced. She's the better fighter. She's a woman that could be around. I mean, she could be top 10 at any point in time. And she could be it'd be number 9. It'd be number 9. Let me talk the breaks. It'd be number 9. But she's very good. She's a good point fighter. She can offensively wrestle. And she's experienced. Her in this fight at even money, I think it's great value. I mean, I'm seeing some spots where she's plus 125. I really like her by decision. I'm seeing that at plus 175. How that's not a 0.75 to win 1-5 play, or if you're feeling like, I mean, you can do it any which way. De La Rosa by decision to play.
100% agree. I love De La Rosa straight. I love her by decision. If I'm getting 50 cents better, give me the decision prop. Single 1 unit play to win, whatever.
That's great price.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I'm saying I wouldn't mess with three-quarter. I'm putting a full unit on De La Rosa straight or decision. Your style. Our style is going to be the prop play. This fight comes down to very simply, Luana Carolina tends to win based on being slightly larger and longer than her opponents. She'll be longer, but she won't be larger. Luana Carolina has good takedown defense, but she has terrible clinch defense. And that's not a stat that you can track on UFC stats. So Yanni the Greek don't know about this shit. Getting 2 shout-outs in 2 weeks, but I was going to make a Fairly Odd Parents joke about my shiny teeth and me. Chip Skylark. For you Fairly Odd Parents fans, Chip Skylark was the boy band singer who sang about white teeth. Chip Skylark. There's going to be one person who watches this video who fucking loves that joke. Anyways, Luana Carolina, absolutely awful in the clinch. She's weak and she can be controlled there for significant periods of the time. De La Rosa, I think, is very strong in the clinch and she's comfortable there. So even if she cannot offensively wrestle, I think she can offensively clinch more than enough to win this fight. Give me MDLR for 1 unit here, probably by decision.
Agreed.
Next fight, I'm very interested because I like both of these guys, I think, a little bit more than consensus. We have Danny Silva at a minus 185 against Lucas Almeida at a plus 155. I have possibly the most notes of any fighter in the UFC on Danny Silva, and I don't know why. But am I out of order?
No, Silva's like a 2. I'm seeing majority like a 210. So call him like a
okay.
2.
I pulled these on Sunday night. This is Tuesday night, so Danny Silva's now 210.
Yeah, on vast majority of books that I'm seeing is which is notable. I mean, I see a 220 on Bet
okay,
US.
So we'll call him 210 and plus 170. I did not do my homework. I was busy 190. I was busy pouring tequila instead of updating lines. I trusted the Sunday lines weren't going to move that much. I'm going to break this one down because I really like both of these guys. Danny Silva, 5'11", 145. Lucas Almeida, 5'11", but he's bounced between 145 and 155. And Joe says it all the time. When you're a tweener, Nathaniel Wood, he prefers guys to take some time off, put the muscle on the right way, and go up. Lucas Almeida is not doing that. He's fighting at 145, which he makes. He's not coming down in weight, but he's one of those tweeners. But he's also 5'11". Both of these guys are long strikers. Danny Silva, I really like, same thing I always like, he's got a hell of a liver shot. I love this guy's body work on the feet. I really like that. I like his offensive boxing. I like his speed. He's kind of what you want Jai Herbert to be with a better chin. He's long. I'm pretty sure he's English, and he really boxes really well. I'm getting Danny Silva. No, he's not English. Sorry. But Danny Silva is a good boxer, a good striker. Technically, he's smooth. He lands heavy, high accuracy. Look, he fought Josh Kulabau in a very entertaining fight, and that goes a long way. Josh Kulabau is not an easy fight. We're going to talk about another Polynesian fighter in Haider Amil later in this card. However, Danny Silva is hittable. He does rely on the youth and his chin just a little bit. I think he stays in the pocket just a little bit too long. Meanwhile, Lucas Almeida might have the second best Dana White Contender Series fight of all time. I give it Sadiq Yusuf and Mike Davis as number one. Lucas Almeida and Daniel Zellhuber might be number two. I have a personal love for Chris Duncan because he got knocked out like 6 times and came back and got a knockout win. That was just a special amount of stupid in the cage at one time. But Lucas Almeida, snappy, long, athletic, the kind of striker that you typically like, where Danny Silva's the kind of striker that I typically like. But last time out, he looked rigid. He looked disinterested. He looked apathetic. He did not look like the flowy kickboxer that we had seen consistently. And that's the last time we've seen him. So I don't know if Lucas Almeida has a problem or if this line is an overcorrection on recency bias, because I really do not think that these two guys are that substantial apart, 210 and 190. I think this fight is Danny Silva as a slight favorite, not a 200 favorite. However, Lucas Almeida kind of shit the bed last time out.
Yeah, I agree with the breakdown, but I disagree on the odds. I think the odds are correct. I think the glaring hole in the breakdown is I think Danny Silva can wrestle if he wants. I think he can wrestle. He wrestled Kulabau, who I like his defensive grappling far more than Lucas Almeida. I think Kulabau's a tougher test than Lucas Almeida. I'm not a big Lucas Almeida fan. I don't see it. I don't really see much in his game. I do see a guy that has power and end-to-punch power, and I see a guy, like you said, Danny Silva, who can get hit. So would I be shocked? Like, am I going to go heavy on Danny Silva in a parlay? No. But it's kind of the only way I see this fight from a betting standpoint. I lean Silva by decision, but I don't love it because I think it's going to be grappled, and I don't love Almeida's defensive grappling whatsoever, notably when he's on the back on the canvas. And I don't want to go heavy on parlay on Silva because Almeida does have end-to-punch power, and Silva is hittable. But I trust Silva more than the implied odds suggest. I think the odds are correct. I think he can wrestle. I think on the feet it's pretty close. I'd probably give the edge to Silva. But I think Silva can grapple Almeida. I think Almeida's been grappled by plenty of other people to show that Silva's wrestling capabilities can grapple Almeida. And that's why I do like Silva in a single parlay, probably for 1.5 unit risk, but we'll get to the second half later in the video.
So I do think Lucas Almeida's got good enough takedown defense. It's not great by any means. He can get wrestled, but I like his get-up game. He's athletic. I like his jiu-jitsu a little bit. Now, nobody in the 155 division is going to be submitting guys from their back unless you're Charles Oliveira. That's not going to happen. But I think Lucas Almeida can do enough to keep the fight standing. I think this fight is a sneaky pick for fight of the night. I think this is going to be a swang and bang, bloody, high octane, high output. Both guys cut and ripped open at the end of it, 29-28 type of decision that you're going to just get fucking hyped for after MDLR gets the decision win the fight before. So in that fight, I kind of like the underdog, but for me, it's a confident pass. I think I like both guys more than consensus, which is me giving Lucas Almeida probably more flowers than you or anybody else is getting. For me, I'm passing. I have a parlay I like, and it does not include Danny Silva. All right, next fight. JJ Ulrich coming in at a -200 against your girl, Jimbo's girl, cowgirl, Andrea Lee, +160 to 170, depending on the book. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, this one's challenging because JJ Aldrich is weird. I mean, it's not just because of the way she looked in the octagon, whatever, but she will. Some fights come out and looking like a rinse and repeat wrestler. Now, granted, it's not the fluid, like Moikiev type wrestling, Chimaev type wrestling. It's a very much brute-like, slow, methodical.
It's Jasmine Jazz the Vicious.
Yeah, and that's giving Aldrich way more flowers than she deserves. But she can wrestle. She wrestled Erin Blanchfield. She took Erin Blanchfield down. I mean, she can wrestle. There'll be other times, like her last fight against Veronica Hardy, who, one, Aldrich doesn't really try that many takedowns, and two, it's not successful. It's weird. In this fight, it should be a very easy path to victory. Aldrich wrestles. Andrea Lee can get wrestled relatively easily. Lee's very tall and she can posture up, but she can get grappled and she can get pushed around and she can get grappled. But Aldrich, if she fights like she's fought the last 3-4 fights and elects to try to box, Lee's is much better. She's much better at managing distance. She's much better at point fighting. Yeah, Aldrich might hit quote unquote harder. She doesn't hit hard enough. Lee will win the striking battle if this thing stays standing. And she has enough defensive grappling if Aldrich tries to shoot maybe 1, maybe 2 takedowns to still win fight rounds. But if Aldrich elects to do the wrestling route, she's going to win this fight. So this is a clear path because no one knows what Aldrich is going to do. There's been evidence in the past leading up to fights where Aldrich should clearly wrestle, and she hasn't. That's why you can't trust Aldrich. But there's also evidence where Aldrich has elected to wrestle 12 takedown attempts in fights. And if that happens in this fight, she's going to win. So it's a pass.
100% agree. Stays on the feet. Lee wins a decision. If it wrestles, Aldrich probably wins a decision. Just you can't trust the favorite to take the path to victory, Cody fucking Steele. It's an absolute Jason Williams, white chocolate pass. If you're a dog better, by all means, Andrea Lee, hope that takedown defense holds up, or JJ Ulrich is an idiot and doesn't wrestle again. There are worse dog shots to take in the world. Just not going to make my top 5. All right, next fight. My absolute number 1 favorite nickname in the UFC. I said the other guy last week was probably top 3. This is my number 1, but holy hell, the odds on this guy. John Sexy Mexi. Just say it one time with a little agave in the glass, and you're going to have a good old time. John Sexy Mexi Castaneda. The name Castaneda, too. It's like Costanza. It's a whole thing. Minus 240. Whoo! The underdog guy, the guy I like betting with the plus numbers, got a 240 tag next to his name against like Douglas.
Now
280 now.
It's all over the place. Around call 275. It's all over the place. 275.
All right. Well, what's 4-name Dougie coming back in at?
I'm seeing it's all over the place. I'm seeing plus 230.
All right. Well, 4-name Dougie, Douglas Silva de Andrade coming in at about a plus 230. And I'll tell you right now, head of all of this, I cap all these guys ahead of time. I put percentages in, do the whole map, blah, blah, blah. I had this as a pick 'em. Castaneda is a 120 favorite at most. So to see a 275 tag is mind-blowing here. Can you do me a favor and make it make sense?
No, I can't. I was looking at the odds ahead of time, and this one I had to do a discount double check. This one makes no sense. If you said someone's a 270 favorite in this fight, I would have said this Douglas Silva de Andrade. I mean, I would have. This fight, I mean, we just cashed it very easily on Ricky Simon last fight, plus 250 underdog against Bashrat. I said in that breakdown, life on the line, I'd pick a fighter that I trusted to win. In for this specific fight, I'm picking Douglas Silva de Andrade. He is a guy that you do not want your favorite fighter to fight. He is extremely tough. Don't let the age fool you. He's not some guy that's over the hill, washed, slowed down. Not the dude's. Look at him. He's chiseled. He lives in the jungle. I don't buy it. He's 38 years old. He's extremely powerful. He can wrestle. He's a great fight. He knows how to fight. Castaneda, he's got slick boxing, but he's really just a guy. I mean, he really is. And Douglas Silva de Andrade, he's not going to do anything in the division, but he's way more threatening everywhere. He's got the power advantage. He's got the submission advantage. I think he's got definitely the strength advantage. I don't understand this line. I'm so confident in Douglas Silva de Andrade, where it's not even like this smells fishy, you should pass. This is Ricky Simon 2.0. I'm pounding Andrade in this fight because this could be a Simone 2.0 in round 1 KO. Andrade has that kind of power.
Yeah. What's the one thing it takes to be a good parent? Come on, I say it all the time.
Just show up. You just show up.
Just show up or just be there is what you used to say. That's John Castaneda's best attribute in the cage. He just is there. He will stay glued to your face in that pocket for 3 rounds. He's only been finished twice in his professional career. Very good boxer, southpaw typically, but his best attribute is he's right there. He doesn't push a high volume. He doesn't land a high number of significant strikes, but for 15 minutes, he's going to force you to fight in the pocket because he, like a good parent, is just going to be there. And I love John Castaneda as an underdog. He's one of my favorite guys to back in the bet because he's going to be there for 15 minutes. But 275, are you kidding me? That's a 75% implied win total or implied odds. That's ridiculous. He does not win this fight. This is a 50-50 fight if I've ever seen one. These odds are flat out wrong. I love Castaneda's toughness. I love his grit. I love his boxing. But as you said, Silva de Andrade, just as more explosive, just as good striker, has the wrestling, has the submissions. And I don't care about age. This is Jared Cannonier at the 135 division. I don't care about age for like a handful of guys in the UFC. You know who doesn't have birth certificates? Gorillas. He's a fucking gorilla. You know who Jared Cannonier's nickname? The Killer Gorilla. Full circle, multiple things going on. Keep up, people. Douglas da Silva de Andrade. This is a pick'em fight. You're getting 2-1 on your money. Fucking love him here. I think this is my other pick for possible fight of the night because Sexy Mexi is so tough. And da Silva de Andrade, remember the Sergey Morozov fight? We were on opposite sides of that. Morozov damn near finished Douglas da Silva Andrade, and then he got the choke later in round 2. It's a fun fight. I like him in 2 spots. Simple. 1 unit money line, 1 unit plus 3.5. I think at the least he's going to win a round. And I'm comfortable with 2 units on a 2-1 underdog, which we don't say almost ever. But I really like him here in both spots.
I like it. I always think about the plus 3.5. It's a great option in here, and notably in this fight, it's a great play. I mean, the Rob Font one cashed the plus 3.5 from last week.
Yeah, he underdog cashed and the 3.5 cash. I'm actually going to circle back to that style of betting for at least one more fight in this card. We're not dog hunters. We're not value bettors. We pick fucking winners. I like underdogs this week.
And then we picked a fighter to win. Who's going to win? And then you find the value. If there's no value to be found, then you pass.
Yep, and I know. So this is not. If you're the first time joining in the PTL, first of all, welcome. Secondly, grab a cold one. Thirdly, tune the fuck in. We're making money this week. Speaking of making money, Chepe Mariscal minus, what is he now? Because he was 425 on Sunday night.
500.
5 Hondo Chepe against the guy who's no joke in Ricardo Ramos at a plus, 375, 400 at this point now?
Yeah.
And Ricardo Ramos, another guy, don't care. Actually, he's 29. Could you believe that? This guy's been in the UFC for 20 years.
Yeah. It's wild.
Anyways, Chepe Mariscal is taking the world by storm. He's one of these Diego Lopez motherfuckers who just, when he got hot, he got real hot. And Chepe has gotten real hot in the UFC, and rightfully so. His judo is phenomenal. He's big. He's thick. He's another guy who I swear he's listed at 5'6", 155. He gains 20 pounds and grows 3 inches after weigh-ins. He's just one of these guys that looks huge in the cage compared to his opponents. Like his judo, like his wrestling, like his striking, like his toughness. He's a 500 favorite for a reason. But Ricardo Ramos, this guy's a dog. He is a complete idiot in the cage, constantly shoots himself in the foot, but he's got a full, well-rounded MMA skill set, plus athleticism, and plus a little bit of sneaky finishing ability. This is a tricky fight for Chepe if he's not careful.
Yeah, this fight, not that Chepe reminds me of Gene Silva. This fight reminds me of last week, Gene Silva against Bagdasarian. Bagdasarian is a talented guy, and Gene Silva's a killer. I don't think Chepe is Gene Silva. Let me just put that out there. But Chepe has come onto that almost Benoit Saint-Denis heater where he's found something. I mean, he is a tough SOB in his own right. He was a guy that just grind him out, rule him, just brutal, tough guy to fight. And now he's found something skill-wise in the octagon. I don't know what I really don't know what it is, but he's found something. And I think it could be the takedown. I think it could be the confidence in his wrestling, which opens up his hands. I think that's probably what it is if I had to say. But Ricardo Ramos, like you said, he's dangerous. I mean, he's like Bagdasarian. If you're not careful, the dude got talent. And Ramos is a very talented fighter. If you saw him in the gym, you'd be like, oh my God, no way he's going to lose. But like I said, he shoots us up with the foot. This is it's a Chepe parlayed with Silva, 2 ones I don't love parlayed together to cut it down to like a 140, maybe 150. You're not going to get a great price on that. Or it's probably just a pass because I'm not a dog chaser like we just talked about, but I can't ignore the Ricardo Ramos value. But Chepe is going to get this thing done. I just don't trust it at minus 500, so it probably is a pass.
100% pass for me. Chepe probably gets the win, but respecting Ramos, like you said, you broke it down perfectly. This is respecting Bagdasarian's skill, but you don't bet against the killer, and Chepe is a killer. Trevor Whitman's got this kid right. I think he's still at Team Elevation. I think that's what it is.
It's Colorado. I'm not sure.
I think that he does have a little bit of Justin Gaethje to him with his striking, which makes sense with Whitman holding the pads. Speaking of which, Dan Hooker, dude, you cost me a lot of money because I was going to bet that your ass was getting whooped against Gaethje. Or you saved me money. I don't know if blonde hooker was showing up, but blonde hookers are becoming fewer and far between. They're hard to get. Anyways, main card here. William Gomez, one of these French fighters out of the MMA Factory, who they're starting to slowly churn out really reliable guys, coming in at a minus 225 against Hyder Emil at a plus 185. And I'd like to break down Emil, and I want to hear what you say about Gomez, because I don't ever give Gomez the credit that he deserves. It just, in my mind's eye, he's not as good as he probably should be. Hyder Emil is fucking crazy, and I love it. This guy he fights like a Hawaiian, Australian type of just island fighter. I swear he's got the ultimate warrior bands around his bicep when he walks into the cage, and he fights like it. Defense, fuck that. Cardio, don't worry about it. Punching, I'll hit you, you hit me. I bet you I win. But beyond his toe-to-toe brawling style, hyper athletic, explosive, fast, varied. He strikes and kicks almost simultaneously. I don't know how physically he's able to do it. Stance switching, and ultimately he's a powerful, tough striker with enough athleticism to compensate for his little bit lack of technique. He is going to make it a fight in the cage, and he's got a little bit more technique and skill than your typical basic brawler, which makes him incredibly fun in the cage. However, as soon as he's dropped, I think his chin is going to go quickly because he disregards defense entirely in this cage. Up until now, 10-0 record, it has not bitten him in the ass. His all-offense Terrence McKinney with 15 minutes of cardio style of fighting has worked. I tend to like the fighter in a fight, but talking about William Gomez.
I mean, Gomez, let me just say real quick. His last fight was against Joannis and Brito. He did not win that fight. That's a bullshit decision.
Yep.
It's bullshit. But I will give to Gomez. If I could bet anything, it'd be if this goes into round 3, he will win round 3. He's a very good round 3 fighter, and Emil, he just broke down, is not a good. He's going to slow down. So if I could bet anything, it's Gomez wins round 3, which is why I do like Gomez plus 3.5. I know you'd be laying a decent price tag. If you can parlay that and get that, the favorite plus 3.5, I like that because he's going to win round 3. And he's not a big time finisher, but he's a typical French guy. He's tall. He's young. He's a point fighter, fairly well rounded. He can grapple. He's a tough out. I mean, even though I vehemently believe Joannis and Brito won that fight, he went 1. He lasted 15 minutes against Joannis and Brito. That's impressive. And 2 judges gave him the fight. I disagree with it, but it just shows you that it was perceived to be a close fight. I don't think so. It was perceived to be a close fight against Joannis and Brito. Brito is better than Emil, and it's a similar kind of guy. Is explosive power, and Brito's got insane submissions to go along with it. Brito's a tougher fighter to go against than Emil. And Gomez, I mean, it's not MMA math. It's just plain simple. It's rinse and repeat his training camp. He's not going to do anything different in this training camp. I fully expect Gomez to get this thing done just because he has plenty of tenure. I mean, he beat Francis Fireman Marshall. Gomez is a good fighter. He knows how to win fights. Emil's going to look good early, but Gomez knows how to weather that powerful, explosive storm. There's a little Pepto-Bismol action at Taco Bell, a little anti-explosive. I really do trust Gomez here in this fight. I love him plus 3.5. You can get that. I'm not sure what the price on that is to parlay with the other things. Even if it's under minus 450, I like that. I like that if it's under minus 450. If you just can't get it, I do like Gomez by decision just because while he could get a round 3 finish, I think a finish would happen in round 3. More oftentimes than not, it goes to decision. So you want to negate the price of the 200. Gomez by decision is what I would play.
So my heart wants Emil, but I think this is a trap line. I think you got a lot of people like us, podcasters, YouTubers, sharps out there who are going to say, look, Emil's undefeated. Emil is a fucking fighter. He's going to give Gomez everything he can handle. The thing is, Gomez is going to handle it. And I don't like these MMA Lab, MMA Factory guys coming out of France stylistically, but the bottom line is they win and they tend to do well against fighters because they're more of technical professionals. There's a difference there. Emil's style is so linear and so predictable that you put someone in there with intelligence and with practice and with patience, they're going to be able to evade and avoid enough to be able to execute their game plan. And I don't like it. I want them to go Hyder Emil, just fucking haymakers and go. Gomez is probably going to win this by decision. What I actually like round 3 starts at a minus 300 as a parlay piece. That would be my preference, just in case. I don't like over 2.5 ever. I think that's bad value most of the time. Might as well just go to decision at that point. The last 2.5 minutes, unless you're fucking Max Holloway taking our decision bet off the board. Still salty about that. It ain't gonna make much of a difference. We'll talk in a whole implied odds. There's a lot of math that I don't understand that Joe does that we can talk about. I get it. I don't understand it. Bottom line, I like round 3 starts parlayed with someone coming up here. That was my parlay piece. I wouldn't fault anybody with going with the fighter, but the technician typically beats the fighter. William Gomez probably wins this one by decision 29-28, 30-27. It really depends on how hot Hader Emil comes out in round 1. Because once round 1 ends, I think Gomez downloads enough and wins the fight.
And this would be a great live bet. Not that saying Emil's going to win round 1, because Gomez is not a guy that just downloads data. But if you were apprehensive about this fight because of the threat of Emil, even though I wouldn't be, it'd be a good live bet opportunity. Just trusting Gomez he's going to win round 3. It's a tailor-made fight for him to win round 3. So it's a good live bet value if you think Emil might come out strongly early.
So you remember in his debut that Michael Morales kid who I said was fucking special?
You did?
We got another one. We got Danny Barlow coming in at a minus 310 here against Sam Patterson at a plus 250. I saw this Danny Barlow kid and hot damn, I got hot and bothered. I had to go take a cold shower after I saw this kid fight. I love Danny Barlow. He's Randy Brown plus more. He's long, dynamic, end of punch power, technical, but also patient, aggressive, and powerful. He's got the complete skill set with a couple of small concerns. The first, he technically missed weight by a quarter pound in a previous fight. I don't love that. That tells me that his camp, law school MMA, might not be the best camp for such a surging prospect. And secondly, the guy loves his jumping knees. It's like Umar with that one kick. Calm down. Like, you are so fucking good. Don't do something stupid, but he loves his flying knees, jumping knees, Masvidal Askren style of knees. Sorry, Jimbo. Second shout out for Jim, none for Dad, and Mom's over there waiting for her last shout out. Look, I love this Danny Barlow kid. I think he is special. I think he's got a complete MMA skill set, and I think what he can do, very Michael Morales, take his time and win the right fights at the right time. I felt the same way about Tom Aspinall back in the day. This is another kid. I know I don't hit on all these prospects. I whiffed on Bahamondes. I recognize that. But I think that Danny Barlow, left hand from God, which is his nickname, is special. And he disappointed last time out, if memory serves. And I think we're getting a really good number here at a minus 310 against Sam Patterson, who lands somewhere between Ian Gary and Reese McKee in terms of talent. He's long. He's a little bit awkward. He's a little bit wiry. And he's a little bit sneaky with his game, submissions primarily. But ultimately, he's chinny and a little bit rigid. I think 310 is a little bit of value on Barlow. Not significant. I capped at 400. So a little bit of value. If you could check the updated line, that would be great. This is my parlay piece of the week. It was Danny Barlow with whatever you liked. I like him with Gomez and Emil round 3 starts, 300 apiece. Gets you probably to about a 150. Look, watch him for yourself. I think Danny Barlow's got something, and I think that something is something good.
Yeah, I mean, you also like who's a fat Brazilian guy that you like. But I tell you what, you call prospects, and these guys aren't obvious prospects that you identify. Aspinall was not. He looked like a douchebag early in his career. Danny Barlow, this fight it's going to be one of two things. Sam Patterson, I think he deserves more credit in the submission game. He's a good submission artist.
Yes.
That's it. This fight should look like Steve Garcia against Chase Hooper, where Chase Hooper's face was pink, and it was a round 1 KO. It looked like a guy that didn't belong in octagon. This fight should be Danny Barlow round 1 KO. It really should. Him by KO is only a minus 135. I love that. Danny Barlow is the vastly superior striker. He needs to not throw a flying knee, because if he gets taken down, Sam Patterson can get a submission. That's the only way Sam Patterson wins this fight. That's it. He doesn't have the wrestling to, one, get Barlow down. I like Barlow's actually takedown defense. And Patterson doesn't have the control game on top if he gets it to the mat. The only way Patterson wins this thing is via submission. I love Barlow by KO at minus 135. The disparity in talent on the feet is exponential. Raised to another exponent. This thing's insane. Danny Barlow should make Patterson's face, if he stays standing, look black and blue before round 1 ends. Love Barlow by KO. I really like the Barlow in a parlay piece as well. I think 300 is a good value. You only have to worry about submissions of Patterson. Yeah. It's present. That's it. I love Barlow. I love him.
Tell you what, I'll tell you right now, Danny Barlow changes to a legitimate camp, but I really don't give a shit what camp it is. Factory X, MMA Lab. He will have a single-digit ranking next to his name before he retires. He stays in his bullshit camp, he'll have a double-digit ranking next to his name. That is how good I think this kid is, but I think his gym is holding him back. We'll see where he goes from here. We're getting good value on him.
Yeah, I think what weight class is he a welter? Is this welterweight?
Also, yeah, that was the other thing. He's 170, and so Sam Patterson is coming up in weight and not in a good way.
I was going to try to call a comp. I mean, I think Barlow should definitely reach the Kevin Holland level, and he could enter the Jared Cannonier of the welterweight division. That's kind of like the comp I like for Danny Barlow. If you're looking through it from your lens, but he's got legit striking, and he reminds me a lot of Kevin Holland in that aspect.
No wonder I love him, because I was a big Kevin Holland guy until Big Mouth started just going for paychecks.
Yeah. Hey,
all right.
Blame the guy.
Next fight, you got to make it make sense again. I'm struggling here. You ever have those moments, and I'm only bringing this up because you brought up the Taco Bell poops twice. Okay. 3 a.m., you ate something you shouldn't have eaten. You're sweating. You're sitting on the porcelain throne, and you're sitting there, and you're at a point now where you're not even looking at your phone. You're just staring off into black nothingness, trying to understand reality that you have put yourself in. We've all been there. Esteban Ribovic is a minus 260 against Nasrat Hapkarask at a plus 210. I'm having one of those moments where I'm staring off into nothingness. Now, I'm not saying Nasrat's 100% going to win this fight by any means, but 260 is a 70% implied win probability here, and I'm not seeing 70% on either side.
Yeah, I was not stunned by this one the way I was stunned by the Andrade one. I mean, I was jaw hit the floor with the Simone and then Andrade. Those are the two ones I just didn't understand the price. This one, Ribovic, he's a guy that's very athletic, good kicks, very explosive striker, and extremely dangerous. And Nasrat Hapkarask is Kelvin Gastelum 2.0 with better boxing, less wrestling. They look identical. That's kind of how they fight. Nasrat has very technical boxing. Ribovic is explosive, and they stand opposite stances. So that Ribovic straight right hand is very apparent here in this fight. But Nasrat has the technical acumen to one, and he's also intelligent. I mean, you see him in the action. I like his intelligence. It kind of comes through in his fighting. He should have the intelligence and technical ability to negate that straight right hand that is very prevalent here in this fight. But I agree with you with the odds. The straight right hand, the wrestling's kind of even, I would say. They're both pretty good grapplers. They're both underrated wrestlers, in my opinion.
Yes.
Ribovic has the kicking and the explosive end-to-punch, fight any power. Nasrat has the technical striking, no kicking, but the kicking will only be for body-wise of Ribovic. I do see it in a close fight. I thought Ribovic was probably a 160 if I had to guess the line. If I would have priced it, it probably would have been Ribovic minus 130. So there's significant value. And while if I had a gun in my head, I probably would lean the Ribovic side. It's very close, and the odds it's too big to ignore. I understand your excitement for the Nasrat side.
And I'm not a Nasrat guy. In fact, he reminds me a lot of Imavov, and I'm not an Imavov guy. Technical, a little bit slow. It's not my style. It's so methodical that I get a little bit bored watching him. But damn it, at the end of the round, he wins the round. I think this fight mirrors Hyder Emil and William Gomez. Yet William Gomez, the technical, jab-heavy, intelligent, a little bit slower, pick-your-shot fighter, is a 200 favorite. And the same type of fighter in Nasrat here is a 200 underdog. I don't think that either fight, Hyder Emil, William Gomez, Nasrat, and Ribovic should be a 200 in either direction. I think both fights should be around a -130 to -140. So I see value on Emil, although I think it's trappy, and I see value on Hepkarast here.
Nasrat.
The damn QP combo. It's one hell of a. It's better than his 1-2 combo. I'll tell you what, the QP combo. Bottom line, I think Ribovic is going to be a lot of Twitter people's and YouTube people's favorite fighter because he's fun. He's blonde. He bleeds. He goes in there and fights for your money, but he's defensively open. He's a little bit reckless. He relies on his chin and his overall aggression to kind of be his primary defense. Nasrat, I think his patience and his intelligence, he's a TriStar guy, which is GSP's gym, if I'm not mistaken. I think Nasrat's intelligence kind of gets in the way of his ability at times. I think he thinks before he goes. He doesn't really enter the flow state very often. He's like the white guy in the basketball court. Yeah, you can do shit, but like be athletic for just one time, just any time at all. Got my playoff basketball game, round 2. We won round 1. Playoff basketball game tomorrow night. I dropped 18 in round 1.
There you go.
I like Nasrat plus 3.5. I think this fight's going to go the distance. I think Nasrat can win a round, and I think he can win the fight outright. So I like plus 3.5 as long as it's south of 150. Anything north of 150, there are too many other plays on the card that I love for me to shove this thing in there, but I like him plus 3.5 south of 150.
Yeah, I don't mind plus 3.5. I definitely want him on the slip. I want him either money line. If the price is not right on plus 3.5, then just take a money line. He handled Jamie Malarkey, explosive right hand. Obviously, no chin. That's a big difference between Malarkey and Ribovic in this fight. Handled him well. I think Nasrat's coming into something. He's stumbled. He was a prospect that kind of stumbled, and he's getting his feet underneath him. It's immense value that I see. I see it at like 80-cent value. It's a razor thin close. If coin flip who I would choose, I think it's a must play on Nasrat.
All right, so Nasrat minus 135 at plus 3.5 or money line. What do you like better?
Money line because it's plus what 180.
200.
Yeah, money line.
Okay, so I lean plus 3.5 there. We'll talk after the video. Follow us on betmma.tips at Pound the Lines, on X at Pound the Line. We tweet all of our picks, all of our plays. I book all this stuff, trying to swear less. I book all of this stuff tomorrow morning, so you'll get the best of the line if you follow us everywhere. Next fight. Ahead of time, you're not going to make me bet it. I don't care what logic you have. I don't care what rationale you have. You cannot make me put money on this fight unless you have a good argument because I'm 3 tequilas deep. Cody Brundage at a plus 135 against the Cuban Missile Crisis. Underrated nickname, Julian Marquez at a minus 160.
This, I'm not touching with 10-foot pole.
Cool.
Marquez lets you down. His only attribute is he's friends with the porn star on Twitter. That's the only attribute he has. He has submissions strong. He's not good. Brundage can wrestle. Brundage should get this thing done by decision if I had to say. I'm not touching a 10-foot pole. The fact that I'm on the Brundage side tells me just don't bet it. Because Brundage is not good. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's a UFC fighter. This fight, easy path. I don't want to talk anymore on it. It's ridiculous.
I got 3 comments. Number 1, Julian Marquez, one of my buddies from college, Cruiser. That's your comp. Cruiser's a better looking Julian Marquez, but good looking guy. Number 2, Cody Brundage, third most hated fighter in the UFC. We got Chris Curtis, Juliana Pena, just for the shit with Amanda. My favorite fight about him, Amanda. And then Cody Brundage. The guy quits constantly. The good news here is Cody Brundage is the better fighter. He's about an equal of a striker. They're both southpaws. They're both sloppy. They're both Who's not a southpaw?
I think Brundage is southpaw.
Maybe stand switching or maybe I'm drunk. I don't know. Either way, neither guy's striking worth a damn. Marquez carries a little bit of power, emphasis on little. Brundage is a little bit better of a wrestler. Both guys are a little bit chinny. This fight is going to be just, LFA. What's that geriatric fight league that's coming up when these guys are old enough they can go
Global
join that shit?
GFL.
Yeah, global fight. Yeah, in about 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, y'all can go join that shit. This is a disgrace of a co-main event for what actually is a pretty damn good card. What are you looking at?
We missed the Pinto fight. Pinto Lane.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, hey, co-main, Brundage, Marquez, pass. Going back to the big boys, that's because Danny Barlow threw me off. I got a little too hot and bothered by Danny Barlow. The cold shower was not available. I just skipped through the big boys. We got Mario, not Luigi, not Princess Peach, but Mario Pinto at a minus, 400 against Austin with a U, because, fuck English. Lane with an E, that makes sense, at a plus 310.
Yeah. This fight, I don't like brought back up. I don't like this fight, odds-wise. Lane, it's because Lane just beat Despanier, who has immense power, no skill. Pintos has more skill than Despanier. But Lane's athletic, and he's finding a way. I think he's coming into his own as a UFC fighter, mainly utilizing wrestling and athleticism, contrary to thinking he can strike. But he's fighting Pinto. The reason why I don't like this fight is I don't like this style. Pinto, almost like the Alex Pereira, very patient. He looked like he did nothing, and then all of a sudden threw a check left hook, and damn, it dropped that opponent immediately. I mean, it was like, where did that? It looked like he touched the guy, and the guy just full like a sack of potatoes. And the opponent actually wasn't that bad, in my opinion. In the Pinto Dana Contender Series fight, that is. Pinto has immense power. I don't like guys that have immense power that are patient. He should get this thing done by KO. Maybe a round 2 starts if you're trying to get cute with the bet. If I had to bet this thing, round 2 starts. But I don't like this. I don't like this style of fight from a betting standpoint. So it's a pass. Pinto has immense power and is patient. It's not my forte of betting.
So Austin Lane's biggest claim to fame is that he's got one of the coolest Sherdog pictures of all time. I think he's wearing a USA bandana, drinking a beer, and a wife beater. This guy is just, he's America through and through. No chin, no ability. He is the second coming of Chase Sherman. Every once in a while, he looks athletic with a little bit of wrestling, but holy glass chin. So when he fought Robelis Despanier, I think was like a minus 200 round 1 KO because he's fighting he's fighting a fucking Build-A-Bear in Austin Lane. And Austin Lane, with a surprising amount of athleticism, took Despanier down, and Despanier is no longer in the UFC. Good on you, Lane. You got yourself an extension on your contract. Genuinely, I like seeing you, dude. You're chugging a beer in your Sherdog picture. Team USA drinking team. You're my kind of fucking guy. That being said here, Pinto's going to knock your fucking head off. Pinto by KO at minus 140 did not make my top 5 or 6 or 7 bets, but it's a good. That's Bet USA or Betway or whatever the hell the.
If it's a 170, if it's a 170, I thought it was. I honestly, it's minus 400. I thought it was gonna be like in the 2s by KO.
Yeah, if it's that's where I was gonna go. If Pinto is less than minus 170, minus 170 or less, I'd lay the KO. But it does not crack my favorite bets. We've listed 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 bets here that I really like more than that. Just because he's Contender Series and Austin Lane has shown a little bit of ability to force young green fighters into uncomfortable situations. But please don't forget who Austin Lane is.
Yeah.
Prior to that Despanier fight, he was a guy who joined the UFC to be murdered and be cut. He happened to win an ugly decision, and now he's
with power.
Yeah. So I like Pinto. I like Pinto KO. Excuse me. South of 150, that will be added to our slip. 160, 170, probably not going to make our number. And I'm not going to mess with rounds because Austin Lane he's goofy. He's a dude who chugs a beer and walks in the cage and let's fucking fight. Let's go see what happens here.
That's fair.
All right. Main event. Fascinated by this one. I'll tell you what. Winner of this main event gets a shot at the belt within about 1 year.
Oh yes.
Within 1 year, winner of this main event. I'm normally a proponent, a supporter for all of you uninitiated English majors out there of flyweight main events. I support the division, but we've got a lot of them over the last year, probably a little bit too much. This main event, despite being a little boys, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good main event. And that's because Starboy Manel Cape coming in at a minus 250-ish last I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, against Azu Almabayev at about a plus 210. This fight is striker versus grappler. This is the flyweight Sugar versus Marab, if I've ever seen it. What do you think about this here?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why the flyweight there's so many main events is because it's like I've been saying, preaching for the rafters. There's about 8 guys at any given time that could be the champion. I think now it's different. I think Pantoja has definitely separated himself. But the guys,
Yes.
contender 1 through 8, any given time can win. In this fight, I was disappointed in the odds. I'm disappointed. I think Cape's going to come down to a 210. I was really hoping it was going to be like a 160 or less because I really like him in this fight. I think it's a bad matchup for Almabayev. And I will say, if you see an Almabayev and plus number at anything, it's not a bad bet. Let me just and he does wrestle. Just so you guys know, an Almabayev does wrestle. Shocker, I know. But Cape is a guy that is a very good defensive wrestler. I mean, he's trained in AKA. He's a very good defensive wrestler who has immense power in his hands, and I trust his cardio much more than Almabayev. I have at times been weary of Almabayev's cardio. I mean, he struggled. He struggled against Jose Johnson. Jose Johnson presented some trouble because Johnson's tall. He fought the best fight of his career in that fight. I'm not going to hold too much against Almabayev, but Almabayev didn't look like a world beater there. And it's that fight kind of like put Almabayev on the radar of, man, I'd like to kind of fade him. And that's why I was hoping that Cape was going to be a sub 160 favorite because Cape has immense power, extremely good striker, very tall, strong, built. He's almost a perfectly built flyweight. But at a 210, I'm not itching to run to the window. I do like him in a parlay piece. That's the only way because Cape has the power to get this thing done. Almabayev can look good early and through wrestling, but I expect him to sort of fade, and Cape has the striking acumen to get the thing done. I'm curious as hell to where you're going in this fight.
So Cape's at 210?
Yeah.
I capped him at 200. So he's exactly where I want him to be, or rather I expect him to be. First things first, I want to talk about Almabayev. Number one, he's from Kazakhstan, which means flyweight Kazakhstan. Shout out Zalgas Zamagulov. Fucking love you, man. And that was before you went viral with your Kazakhstan Beatles haircut. Joe and I were fans since day one, Zalgas Zamagulov. I still believe you could be a UFC fighter and cause some problems for some people. I know that you kind of became a meme, which probably hurt your credentials, but fucking damn it. Zalgas Zamagulov, if you're fighting anywhere, let me know because I'm putting my hard-earned cash on you 9 times out of 10. I like this guy. Now, that actually matters. Not just bullshit, not just joking, not just bringing up the Beatles for likes and views. Kazakhstan fighters, Sergey Morozov, who I brought up earlier in the video, Zalgas Zamagulov, Azus Almabayev, tend to be very rigid strikers. Meanwhile, Azus Almabayev is a little bit more athletic, and I think that bites him in the ass. And that goes to your point here of his cardio. He takes a little too many liberties on the feet for my liking. He strikes a little bit like Umar on the feet. And I think that is what hurts his cardio because I'm never going to doubt a guy whose last name ends in a V. Can you wrestle for 25 minutes? Probably yes. 9 times out of 10, you end in a V. But his striking specifically, I think his defensive ability is a problem. I think he leaves himself open to be hit, and I think his striking specifically is what causes cardio issues. Manel Cape, outside of the UFC, was the prospect to get. And when he came in, the only kind of caveat to his game was he can be wrestled. I don't know if that's still the issue. I've liked Manel Cape's defensive wrestling, takedown defense, and grappling all together. I think he keeps the fight standing. I think he's able to get up once it's standing. Not quite Derek Lewis. Nobody's Derek Lewis. But I think he can get up once he's down. And his defensive jiu-jitsu is good enough to avoid that killer submission. So even if he ends the round on his back, he ends the round and it goes to the next one. All that being said, Almabayev, I would not be surprised if he gets a takedown here or there. But I do not trust his cardio, his striking, his defense, or his experience. Cape has been in big fights for the last 10 years to win this fight. But I kind of said that Sugar Marab, and that's what's given me pause. Because if Almabayev comes in with that cardio, with that ability to shoot 10, 12, 15 takedowns, we got a problem. If you can guarantee me Almabayev's cardio and his history is going to be the cardio we see tonight or Saturday night, Manel Cape is my parlay piece with Danny Barlow, as well as the Gomez Emil round 3 starts. But you never know what the cardio a guy is going to come in with. You can't predict it. You don't know what the camp is like. This is a main event. This is a big deal for Jesus Almabayev. You'd like to think the kid is training at the highest level. But if he makes a mistake, he throws an overly dynamic strike that he shouldn't, Cape can drop his ass. He throws too many strikes in round 1 that gasses himself out, Cape will finish him in round 4. He cannot successfully wrestle and deplete Cape's motivation. Cape will get the finish later in the fight. I think, and I still believe, Cape will hold the belt once Pantoja retires before Cape retires. So I'm on the Cape side, but the cardio is unpredictable at Almabayev, and that's my primary reason. So I'm a little hesitant to parlay. We've talked about this back in 2022 when we were making videos. You don't parlay a guy because you're fading the other one. You parlay a guy because you're so confident in the guy you're betting. And this parlay, while I love Cape, is primarily a fade of Almabayev's cardio. So I'm a little hesitant to put the parlay together. Instead, I think Cape by finish is probably my pick if you want to get cute rounds 4 or 5. Yeah. All that being said, it did not crack my top 7.
I was going to say, like, I mean, you did a good job with the Almabayev side. I think you convinced me. Main event, flyweight, you never love it. You never love betting against the wrestler. But at the same time, I do think Cape wins the fight. So it's probably a pass. If I had to say, it's the Cape side, but I'm not itching to bet it just because of all those points you made. So I think it's pass. I like a lot of other things we've gone through this video much more than the Cape bet. Yeah, there's a lot that I liked that we talked through.
Yeah, we listed 7 bets that I'll read off here in a moment here that I like better than the Cape Barlow parlay.
Yeah.
And that's just because Almabayev comes in with Michael Bisping cardio, and we got a problem if you're on the Cape side. I think the number's just a little bit too juicy.
Yeah.
All right, so running it back, by the way, my official pick, Cape late round knockout is my official pick for Manel Cape. If you're a guy who bets every single card, every single fight, Cape KO, Cape late round KO would be my official pick. What, do you have an official pick on the main event?
It'd be a Cape inside distance. If I
sure.
150.
Yeah.
You'd be better than that. It'd be better than that too. But yeah, it'd be Cape inside distance.
All right. So what we got so far, we got Charles Brillo-Pad Johnson for 1 to 2 units on the money line. We got MDLR Montana De La Rosa by decision for 1 unit, getting about 2 to 1 on your money. Douglas Da Silva de Andrade for 1 unit, getting 2 to 1 on your money. Douglas Da Silva de Andrade plus 3.5, probably getting about even money. Whatever it takes to win 1 unit, depending on the numbers. DraftKings FanDuel is not listed yet. Gomez and Emil round 3 starts, parlayed with Danny Barlow. I just want 1 on that. I don't want to go crazy just because Hader Emil does carry real power. And then Danny Barlow KO minus 140, 1-4 for 1. And then Nasrat plus 3.5 or money line. It kind of depends on the number. We'll see where we're at. Joe and I disagreed. Follow us again, betmma.tips and X everywhere at Pound the Lines. We'll give you that. But I'll tell you what, last week we won about 2 units, and I was confident. This week, I don't know if it's the tequila. I don't know if it's the hat. I don't know what the fuck it is. You're older now, so you're probably wiser. Joe had a birthday yesterday. Shout out to Joe's birthday. I feel real confident with this card.
I do too. And I think the only one I'm contemplating up in the Danny Barlow by KO, 2.8 to win 2. I mean, it's one of those things you're looking at it. I really think it's going to happen. I think it's getting really good value on it. Or we can find a different parlay piece. But I'd like to get a little more on Barlow. I think it's going to. I think there's significant disparity in that fight. But all in all, I really like what we have.
You're not going to find any disagreement over on this side of the screen here. I love me some Danny Barlow. Consider naming my upcoming daughter Barlow. It didn't work well, but wife said no. I gave it a shot. She said no. All right. Well, we're here. We're pounding lines. We're cashing tickets. You follow us. You get drinks. You get humor. You get a disinterested and slightly older Joe, and you get to cash some money.
Look at Danny Barlow past fights.
All right. Here we go. Pound lines, cash tickets, and